Here is what's making me angry. After Bondi, the government can move so fast to pass new laws, but when family ask for maximum accountability, suddenly it's too hard and too slow. After 15 people were murdered on the 14th of December, families have asked for one thing. The biggest spotlight Australia has, a federal royal commission. And the Prime Minister, well, he has said no. Not later, not maybe, just no. And if that doesn't make your stomach churn, well, you're not paying attention. And before I get into it, thank you so much to everybody who has supported me on my channel. And if you would like to support my channel, my link is in the description. Now listen, the part that you're meant to accept quietly. The government line is, well, a royal commission takes too long. They want answers fast and they want social cohesion. They don't want extremists platformed, and I'm actually going to say this very carefully. Yes, we should avoid turning killers into celebrities. Yes, we should avoid giving oxygen to hateful ideology. But here's the problem. That excuse gets used every single time the public asks for the strongest accountability. It's always, it's not the right time, or it's too complex, or it's always, we'll do something else. And that something else is nearly always smaller, quieter and easier to manage, and of course more restrictions for law-abiding Australians. And what they're giving us instead of a royal commission, well, the PM has appointed Dennis Richardson to run an independent Commonwealth review into the federal law enforcement and intelligence agencies, due by the end of April 2026. So let me just be fair here. A review, well, it can be serious. It can find failures and it can recommend changes. The terms of reference say that it will look at what Commonwealth agencies knew, information sharing, what actions were taken, whether law or authorization limited actions, and what could change after this. Fair enough, good. I want things to be looked at, but don't insult Australians by pretending it's something other than a royal commission. A royal commission is a public scrutiny at full volume. A review is still, well, a review, scoped, controlled and boxed in. And here is why that matters. This is the moment where governments will show you their instincts. Because watch what happened in New South Wales. After Bondi, New South Wales recalled Parliament and pushed through new laws, including tighter gun laws and newer restrictions around protests after marathon sitting that ran overnight. So let me say this in very, very easy English. When government wants new powers, it can move extremely fast. But when grieving families want maximum transparency, suddenly they're being told to be patient. Speed for laws, caution for accountability. That imbalance is why people don't trust the system. This is why people don't trust the government. And if you're a firearm owner, well, you already know this feeling. You can watch criminals and extremists do damage. Then the law lands hardest on the people who follow the rules. If you are one of those families, what would you want? Would you want a nice, neat little process with careful wording, or would you want the full truth, dragged out into the open with witnesses compelled to answer questions under oath? Because, well, investigate ourselves and report back is not accountability. That's what the government's trying to do. It's administration. And I'm not saying this to score any points with any political team. I'm not affiliated with anybody. I'm saying this because of how institutions protect themselves. They don't protect you first. I'll say that again. They do not protect you. They protect themselves first. The question that nobody wants or even asking out loud. So I've got a couple of questions. Why refuse the one process that the public actually trusts to cut through the spin? Why refuse the biggest flashlight? And don't tell me it's because it takes too long. And if the point's out to restore trust after Australians' deadliest terror incident, then you don't restore trust by choosing the smaller option. You restore trust by letting the sunlight in, even when it hurts. The anti-Semitism fight is already here. New South Wales Premier Chris Minns has already said the state probe must examine anti-Semitism, and he has criticised the federal review for not explicitly naming it in the terms. So we're already seeing this tug-of-war between politicians over what is allowed to examine and what is not. And exactly that's why families want a royal commission, because scope is power. And if you control the scope, then you control what questions are asked. And if you control the questions are asked, then you control what answers are possible. What I'm doing is not blaming everyday Australians. I'm not blaming the Jewish community. I'm not even blaming the Muslims. I'm not playing that game. This is about government. This is about the systems. And this is about whether Australia learns the right lessons or the lazy lessons. What Australia should demand now? Well, this is my opinion. I've got a few things. 1. The final findings released in a way that the public can actually read, not just in a nice little sanitized summary. Number 2, a clear timeline of what was known, when, why, and who. Number 3, clear answers on information sharing, especially between the Commonwealth agencies and the New South Wales government. And 4, if governments are going to tighten laws quickly after a tragedy, then the accountability bar must go up with it, not down. This is not being extreme. This is just being very basic. So here is my message to the Prime Minister. If you want the country to trust you, stop asking us to trust the processes that you control. If you want the country to heal, stop treating transparency like a threat. Because the public is so sick of this pattern and why governments normalise fast laws and slow accountability. Drop a comment below. Do you think a federal royal commission should happen? Yes or no? And make sure you share this video to one person, because it does matter. Everybody needs to be aware of what's going on, because this is Australia. This is your community.